Well, thank you for being here with me. How's everyone doing today?
Excellent. Just fine.
Right.
This is the first time I'm doing a Zoom conversation across the world, and I want to thank you for both being here. And it's actually got a really great connection. I'm impressed. So, do you want to do a quick introduction for each of yourselves? I guess, Dr. Kennedy, you want to go first?
Okay, my name is John Kennedy. I'm at the University of Toronto, and my specialty for many years has been raised pictures for the blind. I ask blind people to take a ballpoint pen and to write on a plastic sheet, and they get a raised line when they do that. They can feel the line. And many blind people can draw perfectly well, very recognizably, and they're often surprised that they can do it as well as they do.
Wow, that's very interesting. I really appreciate the fact that you're working on making the world more accessible to people like that. And do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Okay, I'm Hsin-Yi Chao. I'm from Taiwan, and now I work in the National Zhongxin University in Taiwan. And I previously I worked in elementary school as an art teacher. So I teach the visual art course. But after that, I work in the art museum. My interesting is in tactile perception, and also how to help the visual impaired people to understand the art. And also they can create art by themselves. So when I work in our museum, I develop some of the application and the technology. I also curate some interesting exhibition to help them can visit by themselves. But now I work in the university, but I continue to do the tactile research and also work with John.
This is a very interesting subject to me. I've sometimes thought about how can we make it possible for people with visual impairment to have an understanding of what things look like, maybe with sound. And I'd never thought about it from a tactile perspective before. So when Chris introduced this to me, I was very interested. So you've conducted research and worked in a number of areas, including architecture, education, museum curation, and accessible design. What led to your interest in exploring inclusive design approaches that provide, say, access for everyone?
Okay, thank you. Then first of all, I have to say, I think the art is for all. So I think that maybe the fine art creation backgrounds was the factor. And I learned how to observe the change or the problem around me. So I created or developed a method to respond to them. I think another reason is also from my creation fine art backgrounds, because it is the conceptual art rather than the realistic painting, such as the installation or the art action to express what I discover in the world. So you may use your multiple sense to perceive the tactile materials or to feel the temperature or smell the grass or humid air in my artwork. So therefore, I think that's why I will very interesting about a different field like architecture or the different like the education museum, because I have many opportunity to know the people with a visual impaired when I being an art teacher in elementary school, or I was a curator in our museum, because I have many the visual impaired audience and visual impaired students there. So I was thinking how to transfer the visual art into non-visual art. So I think that's because my fine arts background. I already tried many ways to express myself through the non-visual method. So I think that is why I have many the different experiments. I will keep the idea access for all. So I want to help them to understand the art.
What made you decide to do your postdoctoral graduate studies at the University of Toronto with Dr. Kennedy?
I think the postdoctoral graduate study is not the first I work with John. I think that in the 2009 and 2010, before my postdoctoral research, that was the original from the one paper I published, which mentioned one Chinese calligraphy in Taiwan who create his own method to continue the drawing after he lost his sight. I think the artist called Liao Chancheng. Then I remember that time I sent my paper to John, and I asked John if you interesting can give me a recommendation later. I can have the opportunity to apply the scholarship. And if I got the scholarship, then I can fly to Canada. Then I can work with you. But I never met John before. I just read John's paper.
Yeah.
I found, wow, the paper is very interesting. John is also very interesting about the blind painter and how to find many interesting the psychology, cognition, or some theory from their drawings. So that's why I want to work with John. So I was very lucky. So I got the scholarship. So the first time I went to the Toronto, work with John, I think the first time we already talking about the Three Mountain task, the experiment, and we try to think about how I could try to design an experiment and invite many visual impaired participants to join us. But the last time, I think we don't have many chance to work because I think only few months when I study in Ph.D. Then after that, I went back to Taiwan. Then I finished my PhD degree. Then I have another opportunity to apply scholarship again. So I think that's the official one. Then that is I have the more time and the more months I can work with John, and we have an experiment. I think that we invited 60 visual impaired people to join my experiment. Then we collect many data and we try to analyze. But I think that after 10 years, we publish. Yeah, after 10 years.
You
I
have
think
plenty
it's
of time to work on it.
last year. Yeah, it's last year. But I think that before that, we have the 2 or 3 papers. It's also about the drawing from a blind girl. Yeah, and also a Three Mountain task, the small experiments in 2013. Yeah, but the last year we published the one more paper. Yeah, it's also about the Three Mountain task.
The most interesting drawings that Hsing-Yi collected in Taiwan was from a 13-year-old girl. You mentioned it there, and it's certainly a very striking paper. Here was this 13-year-old girl, and you asked her to draw a car going down the street. Then you asked her to draw a car that was stopped. Then you said, oh, can you draw a car going down the street with its brakes on? And the girl, to make the car look as though it was going down the street, she drew it especially long. Oh, it's moving so fast. And then to make the car seem to be stopped, she represented it as shorter, and she took the wheels and put them inside the cab of the car. She moved them up. Couldn't go. The wheels were inside. And then for the car that was going down the street with its brakes on, I think she made it longer again, but then she changed the shape of the wheels from circular to rectangular. And that would slew the car to a stop. So putting the brakes on changed the shape of the wheels so that the car couldn't go anymore. I mean, very clever, very imaginative, very metaphoric. 13-year-old blind girl in Taiwan with a mastery of literal and metaphoric picture making. What a brilliant, brilliant little study. Thank you, Hsing-Yi. That was a very telling. I just talked about that at the University of Toronto last week. And, you know, gasps of astonishment at her intelligence and creativity.
That's truly amazing. That's really interesting to study. I love the thought of someone who's visually impaired having the imagination to do and to represent things like that. Really, what made it so important for you to give people in the blind community the ability to create and enjoy visual art like this?
So in my case, it was I had an opportunity as a PhD student to try to invent a theory of pictures. And when I was trying to invent a theory of what basically Ice Age art was about, what Ice Age artists invented, discovered about themselves, and I thought the rules that they were coming across, well, they kind of made sense for vision, but they also made sense for touch. And so I thought, well, this theory says pictures that make sense to the sighted could often make sense to the blind as well. And this theory led me to test blind people. And lo and behold, they understood pictures that I made. And when I asked them to take up thy pen and draw, they said at first, I can't do this. I'm blind. And I said, well, try. And they tried. And then they said, hey, I didn't know I could do this. And they were surprised at their own abilities. And it's a wonderful experience as a researcher to find so many people able to do things that they didn't know they could do. And I'm very impressed by what Hsing-Yi is doing now. What I did in the world of just making shapes, she's doing now in the world of color. Hsing-Yi, would you like to explain what your color project is for the blind?
Okay, okay. Now go to the very quickly. It's about that one, right? It's color wheel and with tactile patterns on it. Yeah, actually, I collected many ideas. Also, I read many papers. I think many scholars try to transfer color into tactile code, but most of them will try to create many different shapes or line or different way. So the blind people, they need to remember a lot of the code, then touch it and try to connect the tactile shapes or line. But this one is I only use the 3 easy, simple elements. It's like the dot, and here is a line, and the straight line and the wave line. Because I also asked the blind people and also asked some the teachers of the blind visual impaired students. So I collect their idea and I try to use the 3 elements because this one, the dot, is something like the light or sun, and I put in the wheel in the 12 o'clock. It's like the brightness time in 1 day. So in the red one, it should be on the 4 o'clock, and the blue one is in the 8 o'clock. That's because this 3-1 is the primary colors. But after that, you can find between yellow and red, there are 3 more colors. That means the secondary color and the territory color. But they mix together, like the orange is mix the dot and the line, straight line. So it's easy to understand. You can mix and easy to remember because the natural world is like a natural principle. So it's easy to remember. But if you want to know the territory, the color, the third color, that means they use a different proportion, the pigment. So I just change the size, like the small dot or larger dot. So it's easy to understand why this one is brighter and close to yellow, and the red orange is close to red. and easy to understand because you can touch and know what's the difference. And I use the whale. There's another reason is like the clock inside, because when the people with the visual impaired, they learn the orientation and mobility. They need to know the clock position because the lococentrism and the ecocentrism idea. So they will know the clock ideas very well. So if you use the clock, so they will easy to understand the position and the color, their relations. So it's easy to know. And later, I also created like this one. It's like a 3D printer. So they can just learn by themselves. If they understand this one, so they can try to know their correct position. So they can just feel it and then know not only the shapes or the line or shapes, and also can recognize the size. After that, I will try the different softness.
Oh,
Not
very
just
nice.
the surface. Yeah, I will try different material. Is use the soft and harder. Then I can create the more colors, not only the 12 color. And late for the brightness, I will add the different height, like this one, different height, the brightness. That's actually you need to touch, then you will feel, because this one is plain and the light gray, dark gray, and the black. You will get the higher and higher.
I
So you can
understand.
see, yeah, different thickness. So you also can understand the more pigment or more darker. So they can get the more idea and then know I think the not value and brightness and the chroma. So they will know, I expect at least the 36 colors they will understand.
What kind of feedback or results have you observed from the blind community using this system?
Actually, I already tried in the blind school and also the blind nonprofit organization. And I think that the one important way is why I created this book, because I try to use the text, braille, and the audio. So they can learn by themselves. So if they can read, if they are low vision, they can read. But if they are totally blind from birth, they can touch the braille. And if they are low vision, they can see the visual image. But if they just late blind, they don't understand the braille, they don't have a vision, and so they can use the audio. So they can listen. So they say it's an easy way to learn color, even they are adults, but they may never learn color. So I think that is very important opportunity to help them. So I remember they give me the feedback is I remember very interesting is from one man as totally from birth. He told me, why don't you invent this color system earlier? Then I can learn when I was young. Why I should wait many years, then I know what is the color, how to mix color. Yeah, and he told me, he thinks that is very logically and very easy to understand and easy to remember. And they say if they can use this like the pattern, and they can remember, and easy to like put any text in their daily production. So they can just choose the clothes by themselves or pick up the color by themselves. Because they always meet people with a visual impair, especially totally from birth. If I ask them, do you know what color of your clothes today? You wear what's the color clothes? They always say, oh, I don't know. My family pick up the clothes for me. So I only know their texture, but I don't know the color. so I cannot choose a color. But I think that is the basic human right. They make decision by themselves. So I think that's the easy way to help them to make a decision and choose the color by themselves. So I hope at least in Taiwan and more the blind people, they can just understand this system and try to apply into their daily life and also in their creation. Like I think in April, I showed to John the self-portrait. Do you remember the
Yes.
draw by, yeah, actually there's the theory course, not only one course for self-portraits. I have to teach them the color system first, so they can try to know how to mix and how to create the quarter, how to use the paper tap, and how to mix color and paint it. So
And you had an exhibition of artwork by blind people who had been working with you. So a little bit, please, about your exhibition.
I think that John is mentioned last year, not only the artwork from the blind adults, they just paint their face. It's like a self-portrait. But that exhibition is all about touch, because I invite many artwork like sculpture or the installation or paintings from Japan, Taiwan, and Italy. Some artists, they want to offer their original artwork to be touched. So not only the painting from the blind people, also we display the sculpture and the artwork from sight artists. And that is in one gallery in Taiwan. And also there is a traveling exhibition also we show in Japan last year. If you're interested, I can forward the link to you because I scanned all of the exhibition room.
Oh, definitely. I would very much like to see that. You mentioned that you want to add some more functionality such as hardness versus soft. Is there any other ideas that you have for upgrading your system? Like, for example, have you worked anything with sound, like with different musical notes or levels of volume, or where it is if you put on headphones, whether it's up here or there? I didn't mention this in the email, but I was working on a time-lapse video of the sun, trying to imagine a way to convert the video into a sound because there's no sound in space, using the light from the video. And it occurred to me that this might also give a sort of representation for people that are visually impaired to have an idea of what the sun looks like from the solar satellites. I'm wondering if there's anything that you've done with audio or things with music.
Definitely, but I need the engineer to help me. Because I already think about the vibration and the temperature and the sound, but it all need electricity. So I need an engineer to try to combine these patterns. So that's why I need to work in Japan next month. But I like to mention this one. This is the first book, but book is not only talking about color, it's also talking about artists. And this one is about the Mondrian. But I have a second book, but I only bring this one. The second one is about the dot and line and surface. But this one is talking about the artist is Kandinsky. So if I mention the Kandinsky, I think that you will know, wow, that is related with the sound. Because we know the Kandinsky is all with the color and the sound, like this one. We use the shapes and the tactile pattern and the color. And here I can play the sound for you. This QR code, we play the sound here. Can you hear?
Yes.
So that means the red. So next is about the yellow. That's Kandinsky theory. That means the nervous, high pitch. Yeah. And next one is the blue. That means the peaceful and the earth, or that you can think is the gentle. So it's like a cello. So I already thinking how to add the more elements into this color system, because we know color is not only knowing by vision. You can understand color by any different way, like a feeling, like your emotion, or like temperature. But if we can try to use like the red. Do you think red is hot or cold?
Usually hot.
Usually hot, but not always. Yeah. Yeah. So if we want to add the temperature, I already set up the all temperature on it, but we need to keep the safe. And the people can touch it and can feel what's the different temperature between the next one or the opposite one. So it's not easy because you need the engineer to combine together.
Yeah, I understand. I'm very much interested to follow your work. It's very inspiring, and I'm lost for words. I'm so thankful to see that someone is working on this, and it makes me want to learn more about it. If anyone would like to follow your work or just to learn more about it, where can they find information about it?
Okay, I have my website, but I think I have my own nonprofit organization that is called the Taiwan Art Beyond Vision Association. So we will propose many information about this color system, or how we can use it, or how we apply it in school or some nonprofit organization. So we will release some news or some post from our Facebook or website. So I think I can send to you later.
For sure.
Link. Yeah.
It's been wonderful to chat with you. I appreciate you taking the time. I know it's late there. Was there anything else you'd like to talk about or feature before we wrap up?
Actually, I just bring this one to America, not only Canada. I think that I have a presentation in the NAEA in April. Yeah, I think that also many museum, they are very interesting. They think about if they can, like this one. I use this one. Can you read? What's this painting?
I can't see the color, but I can see the shape. So I imagine you're showing people with all the different shapes, they feel it and they can tell what color it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and I try to use this system into this painting.
Yes.
And this is I think the famous one, the Van Gogh's room. Yeah, so I try to use the dot, use the line to stand for the huge surface color, or like this one.
Oh yes. Okay, very nice.
Yeah, Matisse dancing. Yeah, so because that is an easy different area, so it's easy to understand. So they can just touch and can feel. Or like this one, this is from Kandinsky. Kandinsky, yeah, it's like an abstract. So I can use this system to apply into the painting. So I hope it's not only, this system is not only for the daily life, recognize the production or recognize the clothes or the color of service. So I want to apply into more, maybe it's about education, like some figure or table, so they can easy to recognize what's the different, like the color meaning, or what is the color stand for, or like the apply into the painting, so they can touch and understand the color by themselves. So that's why I want to apply them more and try to promote this.
Have you been featured in any galleries yet? Art gallery?
Yeah, some exhibition in Taiwan. Yeah, and we show in a gallery. I think that this year we will try this system in Taiwanese paintings. Yeah, use Taiwanese artist work and try to use this system to help the blind people to understand.
I know the National Gallery here in Ottawa features a few Van Gogh paintings, and I'm just thinking how amazing it would be to have some of your tactile versions next to them for the visually impaired people. I've seen some exhibits there where they encourage people to touch them. It's not very often, but they do have them because it's a very multi-disciplinary gallery where they have all types of art, of painting, sculpture, glasswork, beadwork, a lot, and most of them you can't touch, but some of them are specifically there to be tactilely appreciated. I'd love to see something like that in a gallery here.
Okay, yeah. If I have a more case, I can send the information to you.
For sure, for sure. Well, it's been very wonderful to talk to you, Dr. Kennedy. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Oh, yeah, you can have my contact information too. People might want to Google John Kennedy psychologist, and a lot of stuff will show up right away.
Well, thank you both so much for being here with me today. It's been a wonderful conversation. I look forward to hearing more from you in the future.
Thanks for the opportunity, and I should also thank Chris White for helping set all this up.
Oh yeah, so I love Chris. Chris has brought me so many opportunities, so many wonderful people, and it's always a pleasure. Whenever Chris says, I have this interesting person I want you to talk to, I jump at the opportunity. It's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, thank you, John and host. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Great conversation. Talk to you again soon.